Hi, this is Matt Kendall. Welcome to the IEMT Q&A. It is the 7th of April, 2026. Got some interesting questions for you all today. If you have any questions, please do put them into the comments and I'll do my very best to get to them for you. So the first question, getting a lot of people who have a fear of various aspects of driving. Driving on a motorway, various aspects of driving, motorway, that's it, a distance from home, etc. Is this a phobia question or feeling? Well, I don't know. It's why. Okay, so this is my question. Is like if it was a phobia, which I don't think it's a phobia, because a phobia is usually a specific thing. If it's not a specific thing, it tends to be a fear. That's just my understanding. I might be completely wrong on that. It's just how I understand it. Um, so again, now I always say this, and I know people think this is a bit repetitive, but everybody's different and have different sets of circumstances. And so I can only give general advice if you ask me general questions. Okay, so if somebody has a fear of driving on the motorway, okay, well, we'd actually look to start to break down what this emotion actually is. So what is this emotion? And what is this emotion associated with? And it can be when they get onto a motorway and a big lorry goes past. It can be if the weather's bad. It can be if there's a lot of traffic. I don't know because I haven't been told what this is. So what I would do, I would actually work out what the specific problem is with the actual motorway itself. And if it's, again, it's usually a sense of feeling vulnerable, not knowing what to do. Okay, and how strong is that feeling and how familiar and when's the first time? And that's how I would work with the kinesthetic stuff. Generally, when somebody has a phobia of something, you'll get them to hold that image and you'll just, you can do the identity for a bee or whatever it might be. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's a phobic response by any means. So distance away from home. Okay, so once again, when they start to get far away from home, what's that like? And how strong is that feeling? And how familiar? And when's the first time you can remember feeling this way now? Okay, so basically that's it. And then basically I would then start to have them think about driving and going through each step of the driving, noticing what emotions are then coming up, and then working with the emotions that are then coming up. That's how I would do it. I've actually done quite a lot of stuff with driving in the past. Okay. Good morning. Just wondering how we get the client to hold the memory for as long as they're possible during the first eye movements, but not in the kinesthetic. The mind can change and wander in the first set of kinesthetic eye movements. Yeah. So when we're doing the intro pattern, what some people used to call the simple pattern, or I used to call it the simple pattern, that is where you have a standout memory and you get them to hold that memory for as long as they can as you move their eyes on six times on each of the three axes. Okay. So pretty standard start of the session kind of stuff. And I also usually do a couple more memories as well, to get the session going. So when it's a standalone memory, I want to attack that from every single angle and I want them to hold that. Okay, so I'm getting them to hold it, hold it, hold it. If it's still there after a set of eye movements, on the second set of eye movements, I allow the client to let go of that memory and allow anything else to come to mind Okay, so what I'm there trying to do is trying to create like a flow or a flooding of memories. When we're doing the kinesthetic work and we go to the imprint, I only want them to hold on to the imprint until it moves, until it changes. I don't want them to bring it back because I want it to actually integrate and create a flooding or a flow of memories as opposed to holding on to that one particular memory for as long as they can, or just keep holding, keep holding. So when you're doing the intro demo, think about memory, hold on to it 6 times each way on each axis. If it's still there, do it again. This time allow anything to come to mind. When you're doing the kinesthetic work, you're going straight to the imprint, holding the imprint for as long as you can, allow anything else to come to mind, that's absolutely fine. And then you do it again if necessary, once again, allowing people to let go of the imprint. So I hope that clears it up a little bit and why we do that. And hi, Matt. I've noticed that when I get the client to move their eyes, they move slowly. I know there's a lot going on at that time. I moved my fingers slower than normal, and the feedback was that it had a huge reaction. My observation is that it's similar to an abreaction. Why is that? I don't quite know what you mean there. The same client reported that she had flashbacks the following day, even though she slept much better. What's also interesting is the initial imprint was a 10, and after 3 rounds, more memories connect to the original memory. The intensity dropped to a 3. Whilst I'm happy with the decrease in intensity, I'm confused about the flashbacks. I don't really understand what you're asking me there. It has a huge reaction. I don't know if the person who wrote this is on the call today. If you are, please. I noticed that when I get the client to move their eyes and they move slowly, I know there's a lot going on. Okay, so sometimes people have a hard time actually moving their eyes. So I always say this, if in doubt, or if you come to any difficult parts of IEMT, slow things down. If the client's eyes are not going to the areas that you really want them to go to, slow it down and really make sure that you get there. And if they're just being really slow, go, okay, and here, and to right to the side, okay, and to the other side, all the way over here, and do sort of hurry them a little bit. Not, you don't want to go too fast or everything. But if they go too slowly, they get lost in their thoughts and they're not watching your finger anymore as well. My observation is similar to an abreaction. I don't know what you mean by that, so I can't really give you any help. So why is that? I don't know. But I think what's happening here is they're accessing stuff and it's bringing up a lot of emotional content. And if that happens, work with the emotion that's being presented. It had flashbacks the following day, even though she slept much better. Well, yeah, well, IEMT takes a few days to resolve. And we talked about flashbacks last week. So if people are getting flashbacks, ask them to hold the flashback as you move their eyes. And also, if they're getting flashbacks, what's the kinesthetic component of that flashback? And use the kinesthetic pattern. I wouldn't be confused about the flashbacks. It can just happen. I have a client who presents with functional neurological disorder and bipolar disorder. She has had a negative memory about an incident, so I'm planning on using the simple pattern to deal with this. I've asked her to contact her GP, RE, IEMT, hypnosis as interventions. Are there any issues with doing the IEMT protocol? So when anybody has a condition, a diagnosed condition like this, remove the term IEMT. Okay, remove the term IEMT. It should be, can I work on this condition? Can I work with functional neurological disorder and bipolar disorder? Now, we have a lot of very highly trained people in this group. We have psychologists, psychiatrists, GPs, all different mental health nurses, stuff like that, who are, trained to work with such diagnoses. I don't know if you're as being a hypnotherapist or an IMT practitioner alone is really sufficient for dealing with such conditions. So I can't give you any advice on that because I don't know your level of training with FND and bipolar. Now, the thing is, I say, can IMT work on bipolar? It depends on what, because FND and bipolar are huge umbrella terms that can mean a whole range of different symptoms and issues that the client can have. When people say, right, can IMT work on, bipolar? Well, specifically what part of IMT on specifically what issue that the client is experiencing with bipolar? Now, I do think that if in doubt, don't work with the person and refer on if you don't have the adequate training to work with this. But I don't know about ND, sorry, yeah, FND. I don't know what that really is at all, so I can't tell you. Again, bipolar, I wouldn't work with this person because I don't have experience or the training to really do this. The only time I would do this is if somebody is self-diagnosing that they say they're bipolar, and that's usually because they have mood swings and stuff like that. They haven't got a clinical diagnosis and they're not medicated. If they are, I refer on and say, I'm sorry, but this is not what I'm sort of trained for. So you've asked about her about GP. Again, I don't know. By using IEMT, will that have a problem with FND? I don't know. I don't know. With bipolar, I doubt it, but it really is, are you qualified to work with these conditions and diagnoses? And this is an interesting one. Somebody asked, can IEMT help with somebody having issues playing darts? Let me just see if I can read the actual. There was a bit more information about this, and I was like, well, I don't know. He's unable. He was unable to play for the last few weeks, and it's causing him anxiety. I'm just wondering if anybody's dealt with something similar. I saw him in a pub. It wasn't a consultation. Just wondering if the group could help at all. Right. Okay. So we have somebody here who plays darts, and for the last few weeks, he's not been able to play properly. And can IMT help? Well, this is a shot in the dark, really, for me to say. The short answer is I don't know. I don't know what they experienced a few weeks ago or why they can't play darts now. Now, if it was just they couldn't play darts, then that would be a training issue, but it sounds like they were able to play darts and now they're not able to play darts. There's something else kind of going on there. So I would explore what the problem is. Now, IMT is content free, but you still need to know what the problem is to be able to actually work with somebody. So the content of the problem, I would say, is the memories and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go into that. I'm not, that's of no interest to me. But I need to know what the problem is they're experiencing. So it's likely that something happened 3 weeks ago, which they are now has affected their dart playing ability, especially if it's a sudden onset. So I would say, okay, so you can't play darts because, well, what's that like? What's the problem? And that's where I would start. Well, when I'm going up to take the shot, I suddenly just freak out and da da da. Okay, so this freak out, how strong is this freak out? How familiar? And when's the first time? I've worked with some people who play cards and play poker in tournaments and stuff, and they were unable to let go of the cards, and they're getting basically the cards version of the yips, which is the golfing thing, where they couldn't let go of the cards or turn them over, and that's because they'd lost a lot of money in some high stake games, and now they're extremely worried about losing and stuff like this. So these were professional poker players. This is one people just making wild bets, and so that's what we sort of looked at. We looked at this fear to sort of work out where these things were so they can get a better motor control over their hands. So it could be something around that. So that's what I would look at. So again, can IMT help with somebody playing darts? That's a huge umbrella. Specifically what within that? That's what the more specific the answer, the question you give me, the more specific the answer I can actually give you back. At the moment, this is just like saying, can IMT help with weight loss? Well, in theory, yes, but particularly what part of weight loss or what specifically can I help you with? I think that's all the questions that we have for today. So with the just a little roundup once again, just to go through today's questions. Um, Again, so if people are having problems driving, you want to work out specifically what part of driving they're having the problems with. So is it when lorries are going past? Is it when they get onto the motorway? Is it, driving anxiety is a huge field. So you need to work out specifically what the issue is and then work with the emotions that are being presented for that. We hold in the simple pattern or the intro pattern. We get the client to hold onto that memory, hold, bring it back as you move the eyes 6 times on each axis, and then on the second round they can let go of that memory and anything else come to mind. That's fine. Now, when people are moving their eyes slowly, okay, so you want to make sure that you don't want them too lost in thought because that's not doing any change work there. So you do need to go, okay, and hit. So you do need to take control of the session. When people get flashbacks and stuff after a session, cool. See if there's anything left when you come to the next session. And if so, work on those flashbacks, get them to hold those flashbacks if they're memories. And if there's emotion connected to that flashback, work with the emotion. Working with clients with FND, functional neurological disorder, and bipolar disorder, that really is to do with your training. And I don't know part of what on that spectrum or what are those particular symptoms that client has you're actually working with. Can it help with playing darts? Again, it depends on what the issue is. When they're playing darts, what is the issue? What are the emotions that come up, and working with those emotions. I'm going to be putting lots of trainings online later this week, so keep your eye out for them. If you have any questions, please do put them now. I don't think there's that many people watching today. I think people are on holiday for Easter, so I will see you guys later. See you later.